Blessings upon blessings, everyone. Come on in and do share. Tonight we are praying for the family unit. Come on in and do share. We are here for day 61 of 100 days of prayer and flow. Come on in and do share. If you are watching the replay, thank you for joining us. This would be a night to invite all of your family members, if you will. We're going to just pray over the family unit tonight. And if there be a word from the Lord concerning it, I'll share that. Blessings, Destiny. Tonight we are live on Love Walk Outreach Global's YouTube page and Facebook page, and also on the Inspirational Treasure Facebook page. Please come on in. If you're on any of those platforms and you haven't tapped the video, please do so that I can acknowledge you. If you want to say hello, if not, it's okay. Thank you for joining us anyway. Prayers for the family unit. Last night we were joined by Apostle Charles, and he spoke a mighty word on some things. And one of the things that I remember the most is the word establish. And so tonight we are praying for the family unit to be established, stable, whole, complete, understanding, mutual respect, and community. This is where many of us will begin to understand what it means to love within our family units. And so we want to pray concerning that tonight. We know that family doesn't always have to be blood. So we're not just speaking to the families that you may live in the same house with, but anyone that you may call your family. We're praying for that tonight. Lifting up every family with the lost tonight as well. I lift up the Meadows side of my family tonight. My Aunt Pam, my cousin Antoinette. Praying comfort for the loss of Caleb, my cousin. 30 years old, everyone. 30 years old. So we do not know our day or our hour. Or we maybe before we came or something. But as we're living this life and traveling through our days, this is the reason why we desire to make sure that we're living life and life more abundantly, without shame, without guilt, without condemnation, without the woes, without the suffering, without the brokenness. We want to live in such an abundant place in life, abundance of joy and peace. We enjoy every single day, not knowing, but we don't anticipate. We don't sit around and anticipate the end. We just enjoy day after day after day after day. I believe that's why the scriptures tell us not to have any worries about tomorrow, because tomorrow has its own troubles. It has its own obstacle circumstances. It has its own successes too. But if we look so much to tomorrow, if we plan so much for tomorrow, we forget to live for today. There has to be a balance found. There has to be a balance found, because if not, we're going to miss it all. And we don't want to miss it all. We're praying for the family unit. We're praying for those that you consider to be your family in any way, shape, or form. I have a few people in my life right now that have been really, really going through some serious health battles. And one of those individuals just so happened to be the ex-wife of an ex-boyfriend. And a lot of people may wonder, how do you even get to be in that type of relationship with somebody that, they don't even want to really share a relationship with somebody that the person that they're with has moved on with. But love does not have limitations or boundaries. It crosses all borders. And when what you seek is peace, then there's no shame in having conversation. And it all started because I sent her a message to give my apologies for my time spent with him, even though they were not together at the time. Um, they weren't officially divorced either. And they were not considering reconciling when we first began. But what I began to think about later on was, you never know what's in the heart of a person. And until they are not anymore connected, anymore married, then they're still married. And so if she's holding out hope for anything, I don't want to cross that boundary, but it had already been crossed. And I was then carrying my fifth child. And when I sent her the message, she said to me, I'm glad that I found out that you were pregnant, because I was considering, at that moment going back. And we just had a conversation. Was it easy to just make that decision to have the conversation, not knowing how she was going to come off? It wasn't at first, but because it was never, about her or hurting her or anything like that, it made it easier just to say, all of those women, they probably went through the same things that I went through, with them. And so let me at least ease that part. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we eventually ended up being really close, and we're good friends. She was in the hospital, had some things done. And it takes nothing for me to consider her to be family. So what do? When you have the information, if you can do something to help, then help. But family is not just about blood. Now, with your blood family, definitely some things may have to be resolved and healed and repaired, because you're then thrusted into a situation with a bunch of people that you just absolutely may not be compatible with. And when you're not compatible with family, it's hard to be able to navigate different things. But with the name family attached, then that's where those who are, as Paul would say, strong in faith, we just kind of handle things a little bit differently, because we're not looking to make anyone feel shame. You just want to pray the best for all involved. Do your best to consider, accommodate the best way you know how. Decide whether something is something that you can deal with that family member or not. And if you know that you're not strong enough to deal, then you may have to put some space in between. But there is always something that we can do, those who are spiritual, those who are looking to grow spiritually. There are things that we can do to help this family unit along. And so we want to pray for the family unit tonight. Lift up Jordan, Figure's family, Pastor of your grandmother's sister passed away, Destiny. Our condolences. My condolences. So we're lifting up the Meadows family tonight. We're lifting up the Jordan Figures family tonight, and any other family who's dealing with loss. Hallelujah. Still praying for the Williams family, of course. Um, sometimes I think when people are done, we feel like once the funeral is done, or once you said whatever you had to say, that all of a sudden that's when you kind of drop off. But um, still checking on my cousins and everything, as much as possible. Well, when I'm able to, because that's when sometimes the noise or the silence is the loudest, and it's lonely and it's hard to sit with that grief. And so I don't hover over, I don't overwhelm, just kind of peek my head in every now and again, because you just never know what people are enduring and what people are going through. We're lifting up family members, all of our family members, loved ones, one of our beloved team members, anybody who's gone through any type of experience as far as their health is concerned, those who have had losses of income. Sometimes we don't pray for those things when it comes to family. People are going through many different things. I want to share with y'all something really quickly. Today, um, I had to go into a place where my family was once housed, into the area. And I think I made a note on Facebook that you never know how, if you're really over something until you come face to face with it. And I was met with that today, having to ride past, or not just having to, knowing that I was going there, didn't have a problem with going there. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're just going to another city, another location. It shouldn't be that serious. And I was riding to the store, and I passed by the hotel where me and my children lived for a while after my first marriage ended, and we went through our divorce, and we could no longer, me and the kids could no longer keep our house. And at first I was like, God, I really want to stay here, and I want to just be here so the kids can finish school, so they don't have to move again, because we had just moved from Savannah to this location, and I just wanted them to have that stability for a change. No, not moving house to house, or this time we moved from one city to another city, and everything ended. And so once we couldn't keep up, was there for a few months after that, after everything ended, and I really just wanted things to go well, go better. And it didn't work out that way. And so when we first left, I believe we stayed, was it with the family member for a couple of weeks. And the truth is, when you live with family, you are subject, to accommodate or to consider or to oblige, because it's their space. And so you want to be as respectful as possible. And sometimes we do, sometimes we don't even pay attention to the fact that we're not. But if you go to live with anybody, I don't care for any amount of time, I don't care what they do to accommodate you or to help you, always being mindful of their space. And so me having my children with me, and at first, I let a couple of them go stay with their friends and stay in that area so they can finish school out. And then I had to end up pulling them out to do homeschool. So we stayed with the family member for a minute, and with all my kids with me, You're trying to see how you can accommodate, how you can make sure that they stay as quiet as possible and don't make any noise. And, hey, make sure whatever you do, you put things back. And so, of course, it's not living. You're making sure that you try to stay as respectful as possible. And so it gets strained at times. But ultimately, you don't go into somebody else's space with the idea of disrespecting their space. Sometimes family relationships and dynamics go haywire simply because we can't lay down our desires for a second to be able to make sure that we adhere to others. And I don't even know why this part of the story I'm telling, but for any of you who have had to go and be there, yep, I definitely empathize with the fact that, however long you're without your own space, anybody who's without their own space eventually are like, I just got to get back to my own space. Um, because it's difficult to adjust, but we're all different. If you need to be someplace for a temporary amount of time, I know it may seem like a lot to be able to just to not feel at home. Because here's the truth: you go someplace and they tell you make yourself at home. The reality is you can't make yourself at home because what you would do in your home, they may not do in theirs, but it's still theirs. And so you go with what it is that they need, what they desire. You accommodate the best way you know how, and if you're not able to, it's okay for you not to be in that space. Don't know why, but nevertheless, I'm in this neighborhood, this place where I was living and where everything kind of hit the fan back in 2018, and it was such a tough time. So went to stay there for a while. It wasn't miserable, it just wasn't home. And there was so many different things, walking around and kind of trying to tiptoe or eggshell things so that you are not offensive. And you lose so much of yourself in those moments. But please remember that there's going to be some bounce back time after that. So just kind of hold it tight. Um, but when we left there, we ended up going to this hotel. And so I passed by that hotel today, and immediately something in me rose up and I felt emotional. I would say it was because, I was thinking about Caleb, but it was something, it was a nostalgia moment. Um, I looked over at that hotel, and then I looked over at the Walmart across the street, and then I looked around me, and I'm looking at all these different things, and the familiarity of it all is coming back. And there's this feeling, this stuffy feeling, a moment where anxiety began to rise, and anger and frustration because of the way things happened. And um, those are the moments, and I will say this to those that I cover, those that I coach, or anything. It is in the moment that you are going through something that you need to do your processing, right? Once you're aware. And so I had to process real quick, real quick, because I felt all of it just coming up, like in all the remembering everything that happened, remembering the feeling that went along with it, remembering, and it starts to spiral, right? You think about one incident and then you start thinking about all the other things that went along with it. I do not know why I had to share this with y'all tonight, because I'm really trying to hold it together myself, thinking about things, but prayerfully, you can understand what I'm saying. And whatever your circumstance may be, if you're in a place right now where you have to go through anything, one of my other team members had, her house had a tree land on it. She had to leave for a while, go stay in a different place, be concerned about the payments every month to stay in another location, and being misplaced is really, really tough if you're in that situation at all. I think because I got a message from one of my apostle friends today that she was having to shift out of her home and go into a hotel. So it's kind of just that type of day. But if you're in a time of transition, be careful to not hold it so long, right? Process it while you're going through it. And that's one of the toughest things to do. So today I had to process really quickly, and I instead of going into a spiral, thinking about all of the stuff, thinking about the emotions and the things that happened, and the faces of the children when they had to leave their community and their friends again, and all those different things. I started thinking about what happened while we were at the hotel. started thinking about the fact that we were going from moment to moment and from day to day. And that was one of those times where God pulled out, probably from seed that I've sown in the past, but he had people show up for me, people who I've ministered to and touched over the years that were kind of like, hey, you know, where do I send this? How do I send that? And so we were able to maintain and be there for a while. And right across the street from the Walmart, so I could send the older kids over there to get food as we were able to get it and those type of things. And I think we were either there. Um, I think we were there. This was before I think we went to Savannah for a few days to my mom's and whatever. But we were kind of tossed around. And my cousin called me and says, what is going on? Because I think I was doing a live, and I testify, y'all know I'm pretty transparent. I don't hide what I'm going through from people, most things, because somebody may be going through the same thing. And when you're family, you don't feel the need to hide everything about yourself, because then who is going to be strength for those that are weak, and who's going to be, you know what I mean? So we are here one to another. Nevertheless, my cousin, my first cousin, actually, he messaged me. He calls me to say, no, he messaged me to say, call me right now. Like you think he my daddy or something. So I call and he's fussing and he's going through it. And why didn't you tell me? And why didn't you say anything? And we have this 5-bedroom here and we're doing this. And why didn't you say anything? And immediately when he asked me why didn't I say anything, hey, you go right back to the conversation of family and friends, and why would I call? You know what I mean? Why would I call when it feels like in the times that you are having the roughest time, because we are so, we're in love with our carnal things, we're in love with our tangible things, we're in love with our homes and our cars and our beach towels. I'm in love with my candles. I'm in love. Please hear me. You can ask my daughter Amani right now. Let her come in my room and start picking through all my sprays and everything on my dresser. We have the things that we love, and you have every right. And with that being said, once you get your stuff, it ain't always easy to be open and to share. I don't feel that when I go and when I had to live with people, I didn't feel any type of way about them being careful about their stuff. I just knew that was more prayer. Okay, God, listen, I love them enough that I don't want to be going head to head with them. I don't want to clash. I don't want our personalities to clash. I don't want to them to feel like, they're just giving up their space. You people in your space for a long amount of time, and then you're kind of like, yeah, I want my space back. So when I went to stay, blessings everyone who's jumped on, y'all. I'm talking with my eyes closed right now because I'm really my eyes are stinging with tears. So I'm just going to kind of talk with my eyes closed. But when you begin to realize the dynamics of both people, you got to think, right? Yeah, you're homeless, or yes, you're going through something and it's really intense, and you would want for the people around you to be considerate or to think about it and how rough you have it and all that. But once you get established in your own space and you got your own everything, unless you intentionally brought a 10-bedroom home so everybody can come stay whenever they need to, i.e. that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Have a couple of beds in each one so that, whenever life gets tough, you can come regroup, really feel like you're at home, go get something to eat out the refrigerator, go cook your food, clean up after yourself or whatever, but come eat, drink, and be here and regroup. And nope, I'm not asking you for anything for the first few months, because how? And so I know I'm talking general, but this is the stuff we go through, and I hope y'all are hearing me, because these are the dynamics that we go through, and I'm trying to give you multiple perspectives here. You're going through it, and it's a hard time. It's a rough time. People, going through rough times, and I think when I was in the homeless shelter in Savannah, because we were homeless twice. The first, when we were in Savannah at the Salvation Army, I remember having a conversation with somebody, because my daughters at the time, they were sending people over to my bed to get counseling and prayer and prophecy and stuff. And the one of the ladies who worked there, they brought her over to the bed. I'm sitting there talking to her, and she said something to me, and I never forget it. And she said, we're all just like one paycheck away from this possibility, from this outcome. And I'm always mindful of people and what they're going through anyway, but that kind of hit me hard because we're looking at people who have PhDs, and we're looking at people who are well educated, and they have a good work record, and they're sure about their skills and their abilities, but we are all just one situation, one check, or 1 month or whatever away from the possibility. Nevertheless, if you're going through a hard time, definitely put yourself in a place with those who understand that you're going through a hard time. But I just really did not, I don't understand the narrative of when somebody comes to live with you, if they're having a hard time. I never understood the, not giving them space and time to kind of gather themselves and get it together. The reason why they kind of lost where they were living in the first place is because something was going on. And with the family unit, we have to learn and to be mindful of each other. Let the strong bear the infirmity of the weak. And we learn that in family if we don't learn it any place else. Let the strong bear the infirmity of the weak. And so in that moment while they're going through, we get to feeling like, oh, well, I don't want to foot the bill for this, and I don't want to do this, and oh, they just ain't have no place else to go. That's why I let them come here. But child, I can't wait till they get out. I can't wait till they leave. And I remember, and this my cousin called, like I told y'all, and we're at his home. And again, consideration, I told his wife, because she's not really, she just don't do a lot of people. And so I told her, I said, whenever you're ready for us to go, just say so. And we were there for a while. We were there for a few months. And then when she got to that point where she wanted her space back, she came and she sat down and she said, Londa, you said if I wanted my space back to let you know. And I said, say less, say no more. Not offended. Don't feel no type of way. List. Are y'all hearing me? This is how we do with family. You don't have to get offended because they need their space back. You don't have to get offended because they want this and that and the other. Just choose whether or not you can deal with it or whether you can't deal with it. And if it's something that you're not willing to be able to adhere to, it's okay to say, you know what, thank you, but no thank you. The family unit is dying because we don't know how to bear the burdens of one another. And then there's another group of people who don't know how to respect the fact that people have their preference and what they would like to do. We just got to be able to find a way to stick it out, because life is too short. Because life is too short. Then we come up to the moments where we have to get that phone call. And I called to check on my cousin today, just to hear her be able to say what it felt like to get this phone call that her brother has gone into cardiac arrest at 30. And you like, so much time gets wasted with so much time gets wasted because we don't really know what it means to be family. We don't really know what it means to bear the burdens of one another. And I don't mean this as a diss. You can take it as one if you want to. But most of us been walking with God for a long time. And we still don't know how to be Christ-like at all. We're suffering. And people are falling by the wayside. I'm thinking about so many different things right now. I'm thinking about those that I talk to who are messaging me and saying, nobody's here with me. I'm going through this, I'm going through this, I'm going through, and nobody's here with me. I think about the people who, let me give another example. Say you have a family full of people, one of those people do have mental health disorders or handicaps or any of those things, and they're trying to figure out how to live their life and live it in a way where they're successful and things are going well and doing the best they can, and they fall on hard times. Nah, I'm not messing with them because they this, they that, and they the other. I'm not letting that crazy in my house. I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. Y'all, I hear so many things. And y'all, I have to be honest with you. I'm sitting here thinking and rocking back and forth, thinking about Caleb, and I'm like, God, but life is short. Our families are dying. Our family units are so far apart because we've all become just so selfish to where all we think about is our own bottom line, our own way of living. And it gets, if it, because instead of us just facing each other and taking the good with the not so great, that's what I call the times when we just may not see eye to eye, get along. The not so great. I don't want to say bad times. You may feel like it's a bad time. I just feel like it's a moment in time. Not so great time. But taking all of it, taking all of it, taking all of each other, looking at each other through the eyes of another one flawed individual to another one. People who wake up in the morning, one minute they may be doing all right, the next minute something happens and their mood is off. And instead of us just trying our best to understand, we would rather fight, bicker, argue, stay apart, and suffer in our own little nooks and crannies, in our own spaces in this earth. Can y'all see what's happening all around us? Can you see what's happening all around us? We look at suffering every day. And instead of us just being aware that, hey, there's just some things that they didn't know, some things that they just didn't know to do. Okay, they out there, they're out there, they're out there. But believe it or not, we all just made different decisions, but doing the same thing. We trade in addictions. We go for one thing and we go into the next addiction and we think that somehow it's different. It's just not, y'all. It's just not. It's just not. I don't know what family member that you got beef with. I don't know what family member that you cannot get along with. And it's okay if y'all can't be in the same room. If y'all just don't like each other in that type of way, it's better not to just be together all the time. But can we find a way to really be Christ-like at some point? We laugh when we say certain things, heal the world, make it a better place. How many of us really want to make it a better place? How many of us really want to see it be different? How many of us really want to see something different happen so we're not all walking around afraid to live, afraid to love? And I really just think that this whole thing just opened me back up because I don't know what caused the cardiac arrest. I don't know. And I'm not speculating. But I do remember it seems like every time that somebody leaves this earth, the only thing I can think in my mind is, did they feel loved? Did they know that they were not alone? Did they know that we all go through some of the same secret battles? Did they know? I started with my children and, with my family. There's some things in my home right now that my bonus father left to me. And he didn't have a lot to give me. He thought that there was going to be a small severance package when he retired from the fairground, and he died a week before retirement. And he thought that they were going to give a severance package, and that I was going to be well taken care of, and that the kids was going to have everything they needed, and it didn't happen. So when he left, all the stuff that was in his home, I held it close. And so there are things in my home, and a couple of those things have been broken. And at first, the instinct was to feel offended because they broke it. And then I began to really think, is this thing, this tangible item, and yes, I hold him very dear, but I hold him dear. So his things, of course, I don't want them to be messed up if it can happen, but I'm raising kids. Do I want to be so much like that with my kids to the point where they feel like they can't do nothing, touch nothing, and everything tangible is more important than them? That I value that thing so much that I'm willing to hurt their feelings because they had a mishap? I don't love anything tangible more than I love y'all, more than I love my kids, more than I love my husband, more than I love my mom, more than I love my team, more than I love those who follow. And there's nothing tangible. This is why I believe the scriptures are telling us, don't lay up stuff for yourself here where moths and other things can eat it all up, or it can go away. Yes, whatever you work for, you can value it for sure. But do I value that elephant? And it was such a nice elephant. It was a set. Do I value that elephant though more than I value my 8-year-old? Do I make him feel so self-conscious about breaking something and making him believe that it's so sacred, that it's something that he can't make a mistake with it? So I'm on him so hard because he accidentally broke a thing? We have made people so scared to live. We have made people so anxious about life. And we will make them feel as if they are of less value. When I did this flyer last night, and I was going off of the word established, and I was like, yeah, let's pray for the family units that we will be established and all that. And then I have to go to this neighborhood and think about everything that happened in the family unit. And I think about the houses that we lived in, and I think about the places that we went to say, hey, this is where we are right now. And if you don't ask for help, people say you're being prideful. And if you do ask for help, then they count the hours before you walk out the door. I'm gonna prove it. We on the phone. We're living at my cousin's house still. And one of my other cousins calls. And he puts it on speaker. And they're talking, they trading, their greetings and all of that, and talking smack like they do and everything. And then I heard the cousin on the phone say, is Shalonda and her kids still there? And the cousin that was sitting with me, he just kind of looked at me, and this is what I knew he felt. So he wasn't faking the funk. He was kind of in his feelings that we were moving out because he wanted, more family close. But he looked at me and he said, yeah, they still here, but they found a place and they about to move out. He was like, woo, I know you glad about that. I know you glad they finna go. And everything in me just paused. And he's my cousin. I could have just spoke up and said, "Oh, so I guess that means I'm coming to live with y'all then," because I'm silly like that. But in that moment, it reminded me really of how we think about each other. I barely ask anybody for anything. So if I need a place to stay, my kids need a place to stay, a place to sleep. Are we that much of a burden? So now there are people in my life, whether if they feel like a burden, I'm the first one to try to remind them that you are absolutely not a burden to me. If I've given you permission to be a part of my life, I've given you the space to be exactly who you are. And I'll adjust myself the way that I need to adjust myself. It don't mean that everything is going to be perfect, but listen to me. Your life, your existence, your presence matters more to me than anything. And yeah, if I'm eating, you eating. If we rubbing dang on 2 quarters together, then we rubbing 2 quarters together, baby, and we gonna make it do what it do. And this is something that the people from the past, that's something that they did carry on, that made so much sense. Family was important. But we're so listen. I think the old folks used to say that this was in the scriptures, and I haven't researched it, so don't quote me on it. If you heard it, amen. If you have not, okay. But the generations that were coming up would be weaker but wiser. And I used to always think about that, weaker and wiser. How weak but wise? How? How both? Well, weaker in the sense that we can't take nothing. Everything makes us feel as if we need to lash out or strangle somebody real quick. And please don't get it twisted, y'all. Y'all know my diagnosis. I tell y'all my irritability be on 100. But I want y'all to understand that just because my chemicals might imbalance, it don't make you less important. So who need to deal with them chemicals? Me. Before I rip a head off. What are we gonna do? Because the family unit is dying. It's falling apart and we're watching it happen, but we're still trying to figure out how to save our own raincoat. It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring, and the storm is furious outside. And you see people getting caught up in the storm. And the only thing we can think about is whether or not our rain boots and our raincoat is going to make it in the house. The only thing we can think about is whether or not we're good. But when you need something, see, we do that. When are we going to think about more than just ourselves? Because we are one. God is but one. Everything at the same time, all the time. Concerned about me, concerned about you, concerned about everything that is moving, breathing, and have their being. But we can't seem to do that for some reason. So yeah, if I got it, every single time I pass somebody that's homeless, I'm giving. I may not be able to give them a whole week in a hotel room, but y'all seen me. If y'all been following me long enough, you done seen me go live with a whole homeless man that I met for 5 minutes. Hey, what can we do to make sure he at least gets a couple of nights where he doesn't have to worry about whether somebody's gonna come along and snatch his bag of food that I just gave him? Because everybody's hungry. And the only thing that we can think is, well, They better get out. They get it. They better figure it out. I had to figure it out. I had to do this. I had to do that. Yeah, you had to do this and you had to do that. And you felt like nobody was there. So how do you turn out to be the same? How do we not look into the face of somebody and remember what it felt like to watch our kids feel the same? And no, you can't fix everybody's problem. But what if you are the one that's supposed to be God in their world for that moment? What if you are? They used to say, "Hey, I got Mother Teresa said it. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of everybody." She took care of people with AIDS, took care of homeless people, people who had cancer, they were sick to the death. Because she said, "I don't know if I'm entertaining Jesus unaware, entertaining angels unaware, but how about this? How about this? How about this? How about it not even have to be? What if it's Jesus unaware?" Because Jesus himself would not have been okay with that. There were stories in the scriptures about how we treat people of massive authority as opposed to how we treat the one that has on the clothes that are torn. We bid them come to the front because they look the part, because they're dressing excellent, as we call it. And the truth is, who defines? We got to a place of what we call excellence by a bunch of people saying what was appropriate, what was not appropriate, what was good, what was not good, what's great for business, what's not great for business. You don't have to do that. Make sure you walk up right. Make sure you put your shoulders back. Make sure you put on a smile. Make sure you wash your face. And you miserable as hell on the inside. And for those of y'all who can't take the word hell, forgive me. But we got to look the part. And we suffering. And we're all watching each other drown, saying, "Hey, somebody save me." But nobody stops to think that maybe if we just all link arms because we all drowning, maybe we can all make it out of here. It's time for us to be established, but how do we establish anything with the selfishness that we've decided to live in? Been looking out today, just looking at the people who have nothing. We're scarred and we're bruised and we're drowning together, but we will not look up and say, and that not everybody, there are some, but can you imagine having thousands of people in the water and we're all drowning and we can't save ourselves? Can y'all imagine? Do you hear what I'm saying? That's literally what this world looks like. And no, you got 10 people out of 1,000 saying, "Hey, y'all, this life can work if we just work together. Hey, we can get out of this drowning place if we just hold on to each other. Hey, I lift your arm, you hold my arm, and we just do this thing. Listen, but I can't swim. Hey, I can swim, so you just come be next to me." The strong bearing the infirmity of the weak. We're arguing about doctrine when it's simple. To bear the burdens of one another is to fulfill the law of Christ. And so if you pursuing no Christ mind because you want to manifest everything that you want and you only sitting there and nam ho yom yo ho renge kyo so you can get all your money and make sure you got all your golden calves, then have fun. But when there's nobody there, Somebody made a statement that even when rich, and I'm not, and by no means am I saying that rich people are all selfish in it, because a lot of them are not. Same way you got selfish rich people, you got selfish poor people. That's my box. You can't have my box. That's what they do. It's my box right here. See the X right here on the box. Poor, rich, whatever. It's selfish people in every place, just like there's generous people in every place. But there was people who studied and said that some of the richest people on their deathbed didn't ask about where their money was. They looked up and wondered where their family was. Their biggest regret is that they ended the marriage, or they were too this with their kids and the kids don't want to deal with them no more, or whatever the case might be. Y'all, we need each other and we're acting like we don't. A person on the island can survive for a while, but I can guarantee you when them hormones start getting the way they getting, I'll leave that. That's for your mature audiences only. I'll leave that alone. But we need. Now I'm gonna say it like, bro, like your hand can only do but so much for so long. Eventually, you need human touch. You want human touch. You want to be embraced. You want to peck on the cheek. You want to sit down and have a conversation with a real person. But in order to do that, y'all, we got to figure out how to be able to live with each other, knowing that, yes, sometimes they going to get on your nerves. And you going to get on theirs. I told my husband that one time, like when we first, because y'all, many of y'all know the story. He's been loving me since I was 9 years old. But we grow. I was honest with him about everything, honest about my diagnosis, the honest about everything. Like, hey, this you want to be with me, this is the things you got to deal with. Me and my 11 kids, because my bonus kids will always be my kids. I'm not gonna block them out of my life because I got somebody new in my world. It's just not doing it. I don't make bonds with people to break them because other people don't like it. Now you can't come and talk to me about them in a negative way. But I'm not ending relationships. That's false love. I don't do false love. I don't understand it because I don't want it. So why would I give it? We got to figure out. Y'all are funny. We got to figure out a better way. There should not be an elderly person. I don't care what they've done in their life. I really don't. I don't care how awful they may have been. There's room for redemption for all. Ain't that the message you've been learning in church all them years you've been sitting? Redemption, forgiveness, love. God, y'all, I just, if this is even just a little glimpse of what God feels like, watching all of us dismiss each other, we have turned to self-preservation, so much so that we are acting like we don't need nobody but ourselves. The family unit is dying because we don't know how to be family. It's not easy. So I told my husband everything. And I told him, babe, one day I just don't want you to ever get tired of me. Respectfully, I said, these are the dynamics. These are the highs and lows that I go through. These are the moments that I have when I get to feeling highly irritable and I just isolate myself so that I don't offend anybody else. I learn how to deal with me so that I'm not making you feel as if you're the problem. And if you do something to offend me, it'll happen. But do I not love you anymore? That's conditional love like a mug. But we're not going to survive on that. Self-preservation is so important to us that we're literally willing to step on somebody else's head, smash them, kill them, so we can have something that is temporary. Instead of loving each other enough to say, hey, I'll plant this and you plant that. And the next person plants that. And eventually you got a whole soup. And yeah, we may have to get smaller portions than what we're normally used to eating. But if we all got smaller portions, that means we're sustained another day to plant some more vegetables or grow some more fruit. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? And if our hearts are so hard that it's in literally in our hearts to watch somebody else burn, I'm sorry, I just had a whole moment. I literally had a whole moment. I know somebody who literally said, if I see that person burning, I'm not going to even spit on them. Like, I hear so many things. I ain't even gonna call this hello little bony self. She's so little. The person I'm thinking about, she's so little and bony and short. She about this little talk about, I don't care. I don't care nothing about him. I see him burning. I ain't even gonna spit on him. Like, yeah, we are just so get it back. Just a little spit. I mean, the water ain't gonna help anyway. Throw a coat over him or something. Tell them to stop, drop, and roll. At least scream out something. You see somebody heading into a ditch, at least say, hey, you about to go in the ditch. I understand that for long. Yeah, man. Like, it's because, no, I'm not messing with you tonight. Not doing it. Not doing it. If we love, if this is the path that we choose to follow, then you better work it. Work that one little drop on the side of the cheek or something. Some salivation going on. Yeah, technically that one little drop ain't gonna work anyway. So at least put a coat. Yeah, I ain't even have y'all do y'all 3 breaths tonight, but we'll do it on the way out. It's prayer and flow, ain't it? To those who have given, I see a couple, 2, 1, 2. To those of you who have given tonight already, God bless you. I'll send personal messages. I don't know who someone is. When y'all go, with no name this time. Okay. Well, blessings over Nadia and Destiny. Thank y'all for always being present. Thank y'all for always showing up. And thank y'all for always thinking enough of me to know that a nigga gotta eat too. Y'all, I know I am not the apostle that many of y'all was waiting for, but I'm here. Either we here for it or we ain't. Either we here for it or we not. All right, y'all. I got my laugh now. I feel more refreshed. But please do pray for my family. I really am hurt about my cousin. I mean, my uncle was tough. That was tough because he was like the dopest. He was the niece's uncle. I told y'all that before. He was, and then it's a lot of nieces. All right. My oldest female cousin is in her 50s, almost 60. Older than him. He was still that dude. And so now, what do you do? And y'all know, based on my belief system, this was already something that was gonna happen. He was, you ain't gotta believe in pre-incarnation. I just do. I believe that we make, whatever soul contracts that we make with God, and He manifests as us, and we know what's gonna happen in a subconscious way. But man, it's still a big blow to me. And my aunt has got to now bury her child, and I don't think no mother wants to ever have to bury their kids. So my heart is really broken. Oh, but just be me. Destiny, you would say that since you think I'm hilarious. Just be me. I'm going to. That's just where I am with it at this point in life. Anyway, so if you're going through anything, I told y'all I had to face some things today, and I had to literally regroup my thoughts so that I wouldn't spiral into, a deep depression, thinking about everything that happened. Probably one of the toughest times of my life. Definitely one of the toughest times in my life. I'll take that, Nadia. That's good. Y'all write that down. Put it in the quotation box. Like I said, I might need to go on top of my little thank you. Makes sense though, don't it? Kind of makes sense. I think it makes sense. Nevertheless, before I spiral, and I think I'm saying all this to say, you got to get in front of your stuff, and you got to be okay with processing through every situation. I could have went into a spiral. I could have got angry all over again about everything that did happen. But the truth be told, the other people in this story probably got their own viewpoint of what happened. Cannot judge them for their perspectives. But I know the hurt I felt. I know the hurt it felt to look at my kids that way. But do I want to go back into the rabbit hole when I've already forgiven everything that happened? Those are the type of things that come to test you to see if you really forgiven or not. Did you really forgive it? Did you really let it go? It's going to come face to face with you. Ah, I received that. But I had to change the direction of my thoughts. So I'm telling you guys today, like, in order for us to heal the family units, in order for us to, we have to do our part in order for God to heal the land. It doesn't happen until love becomes our law. It's that inner governance that knows when to let go, when to allow, when to love on, when to nurture. It knows when everything must happen. For everything, there is a season. For everything, there is a time under the sun. Like, think about it. God is telling us in so many words through another vessel that I made room for all of it. I created all of it, every idea, every thought. And that's if you believe in the God that I believe in and the great I am. If I believe there's only one God, one big G, one intelligent mind, one source. Everything that is, so I had to change the thought, because in order for me to get along, in order for me not to hold grudges, in order for me to allow everything to literally be healed, I had to go into the thought that, you know what, God, that's the place where you sustained us. This is the area where it felt like everything in my life was falling apart. My whole front line was being dismantled. My friends was getting messages about things that didn't even happen. It was a very hard time. And yet, God, this is where you sustained us for these months. You just so happened. And when I booked the hotel, I didn't know it was right across the street from Walmart, right around the corner from Kroger. I just knew we had to have a place to go. This is the place where you sustained us. See, now I really understand how they used to name their altars back in the day. When God would do something at a rock, and they would call that place Jehovah whatever or Yahweh whatever, because that's where God showed himself mighty on their behalf. I can think about everything negative that happened, but I promise you, as I processed through that thing, I ended up getting over there to the Kroger, and instead of remembering the days walking into that Chase, it's a Chase Bank over there too, walking into that Chase Bank, feeling like, is this really my life right now? Instead, I went back to the memory of meeting, y'all know Chris from Boys in the Hood in the wheelchair. I go back to the day I met him at Kroger. And we took a picture and we laughed and we talked about empowering people. We had something in common. And we didn't just talk about him being an actor and being in Boys in the Hood. We talked about him as a person, what he was doing, pulled up his website, followed to see what he was doing. I began to bring up that memory in my mind. I don't want to carry hate. And people may think it's lame, but hey, blessed are the peacemakers, for there shall be called the sons of God. And I just choose. I choose peace. And I still message people who haven't responded back to me in months. Just feeling like, don't know what they're going through, don't want to speculate. Maybe they don't want to talk to me no more ever. Maybe what I'm teaching is just too much and they don't want to be my friend. And that's cool. Eventually, God will release me to let it go. But in the meantime, in between time, you may just be going through something in your life. And I want to be over here assuming that you just don't like me or you don't want to talk to me. What if you locked out your Facebook page and you can't even get into your messenger? Or what if you went to the hospital months ago and been dealing with stuff in your body for a long time? Or what if you going through hell at your own home and you don't want to respond to me because you don't want to let all your floodgates open or reveal what is going on in your home? I can assume the worst, or I can just accept that there are other possibilities. And even if you ain't my friend no more, don't you have the right to choose not to be? I know. It sounds crazy. Like, also, you think it's just that easy? Hey, no. I'm a feeling person by nature. So my feelings stayed hurt. But I can't allow that to govern my life. I just can't and I won't. So if you have any family members that's going through anything, I'm not telling you that you need to fix their life, Iyanla. But I am saying that when the scriptures tell us to do unto others as we would have done unto us, and then do consider that the next time. Let's go ahead and take our 3 deep breaths, y'all. And I not said a lot, so you got a lot that you might need to release tonight. I might need to Do it at the beginning and then definitely do it at the end, because sometimes it's just heavy. Like, so she want me to be the one. I gotta be the one to do this. I gotta be the one to treat everybody right. I gotta be the. What about how they treat me? What about what they do to me? You are only supposed to be concerned about what you're sowing. Why do y'all think grace is sufficient? Why do the scriptures or any other sacred text, why does it talk about forgiveness? Why does it talk about empathy? Why does it talk about, because love is our law. And when we operate according to that law, everything can begin to change. I know when we take these deep breaths in, we're literally just, we're telling God that I accept your presence. I know that you're here. You're always with me. Your love is unconditional. You can never leave me nor forsake me, because you are literally a part of everything that is creation. You are everything that is creation, and we're just your unique expressions. So we take that deep breath in, embody all of that love, everything that is unconditional about it. Because hear me, everything I just said tonight is covered in that unconditional love. Your personality, your issues, your circumstances, your traumas, your pains, your brokenheartedness, your successes, your assets, your talents, your gifts, your abilities, skills, all of that stuff. Everything is embodied in unconditional love. So embody that when you breathe in, and when you breathe out, go ahead and release everything that still has you bogged down, that makes you want to live selfishly. I got news for you. If it's the Christ mind, or if it's Christ that you're trying to follow, then what you following, what you really doing? If the heart is not what you're changing and shifting, what are we doing? Because if we're just a part of our religion so that we can call foul on another person, I got news for you. Is it not Satan that's an accuser of the brethren? Think on these things. Told y'all we all somebody's adversary at some time or another. We sitting up here blaming the devil for everything in our life. It's talking about us. We're an accuser of the brethren. We're the ones that's always trying to find fault. We're the ones that's always trying to make it seem like, y'all know I could do this all day. Love thy neighbor as ourselves. Amen. Everybody rise. So we can do this benediction now. I just say, take the first deep breath in. In that breath, I just release my sadness. Do I have a right to grieve? Yes. But do I choose to carry sadness around with me for the rest of the time that I am here to help be present for someone else? No. Release whatever it is that you no longer want to carry. Release whatever it is that has you burdened down and you cannot do anything in your day. When was the last time, and I put this in our group, but when was the last time you had a real good laugh? Just because. Release the burdens, release the stress. Let your body relax. Take that second deep breath in. Push your shoulders back a little bit. Bet we don't even know when we slouching. Bet we don't even know when we just totally just surrendered to the stress, to the fear, to the anxiety, to the shame, to the guilt, to the emotional overload. Sometimes we don't even know when we've submitted to it, we've yielded. Only thing we should be bowing to is this agreement that God is all. I'll bow, I'll yield to that. But why are we bowing to all this other stuff? Release it, let it go. When we take this third deep breath in, we're going to think about everything that we are allowing to control our dynamic. All the inner stuff that we let and control our life. It's time to take your power back. Remember to hold it. When you take this third deep breath in, remember to hold it for as long as you will. Just to be reminded of what it could be to not have breath. And then when you release it and you end this breath, I don't even want you to say anything out loud. I just want you to embody the willingness. And that's only if you really are willing. I can't make you do it, so I do not want you to fake it. But just think, I'm willing. I'm willing to help heal the family dynamic. Whether it be blood in some way, shape, or form. It may just be that, hey, we ain't never going to see eye to eye. We ain't going to get along. I don't hate you, though, but I'm praying for you. I love you. We might see each other during family gatherings, and I ain't going to hate you. I'm going to still laugh and joke and talk to everybody else. I'm not about to let our thing, our vibe, our whatever ruin my day and ruin the day of others. Nope. We might have to stay a distance, but I don't hate you. If you need something and I got it, I'm going to figure out how to get it to you. Our personalities just don't work. So I'm gonna take this third deep breath in, release everything. I'm talking about everything, and make it a slow release. Decide that you just want to be free. Make that decision today and let it be. Take that third deep breath in. I may not be able to fix all your problems. I may not be able to minister to everything that you're going through. But I'm here for it. Standing in the gap. Submitting your requests unto God. Because I want the best, the absolute best for you, life and life more abundantly. Father, I pray for the Meadows family, the Williams family. I pray for the Jordan and Figures family. I pray for any family here that is going through loss, who has a need, who has stress and struggle within their household. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. And I don't mean let there be peace because we're walking around each other trying to figure out how to step over this shell and step over that. No, peace because we've just decided that, hey, I'm going to live my life. I want to do what I love to do, but I will not disrespect you in your space in doing it. You know, if you do something, don't be afraid to say, you know what, I apologize for that. And hey, on the flip side, decide that you can't hold on to grudges past the second, past the moment you process it, because it ain't benefiting you and it definitely ain't benefiting the rest of the relationship. We have got to heal this inner land so that God can then say, you know what, amen. The whole land is blessed. It's healed. I pray over every love offering, every gift that has been given. I pray increase, overflow, expansion, new ideas, open doors, everything that you can even begin to think of, so that your life is a life full of thriving and wonder, and you can plan your trips and do all the things that you need to be able to do, whatever it is to bring a smile to your face. Let it be unto you. It is so, and so it is. Amen and hallelujah. I love y'all just because I can, and I'll talk to y'all again tomorrow.